so-called comedian had made these kind of awful, insulting statements before, and yet Trump invited him anyway. And, of course, a lot of politics, like law, is timing. And the timing was terrible for Trump because a lot of Puerto Rican people were meeting with Harris today. So she could exploit that immediately.
Donald Trump has secured massive media attention, ensuring millions of people would see an arena full of his supporters who waited 4 hours on the streets of Manhattan to cheer him on. We are just days to go now in the race for the White House, and polls show Kamala Harris and Donald Trump are still neck and neck in the final stretch of the campaign. Kamala Harris has been in Pennsylvania, getting endorsements, of course, from the Obamas, etc. Beyonce, I think, at this point last week. Let's get a bit of an update. David Katz is a US commentator, former assistant US attorney and federal prosecutor. David, thank you for staying up for us. How are you?
Great being with you, Rosie. In Los Angeles, it's only 10 p.m.
Okay, good. Good news. So why do you think, David, Donald Trump went to Madison Square Gardens, a state that he knows he's not going to win?
Well, part of it is an ego trip. He loves this thing about crowd size. And as you just said, Beyonce appeared in front of about 30,000 people along with Kamala Harris. So part of it's an ego trip, and part of it is, yes, this spectacle that even in such a blue Democratic state and city as New York City and state are, that they could turn out 20,000 people. If you think about it, no matter how unpopular some group was in London, they could probably turn out 20,000 people. But to say they played the Palladium or whatever the equivalent is not only an ego trip, but it's more important, I think, for Harris, because when she turns out people, then she takes them to the polls. You see, we don't have election day anymore. We have a couple of weeks leading up to the election. And you can go vote, early voting, so they can actually take followers to the polls. So when, let's say, Harris revs up thousands and thousands of people in some swing state, then they go to the polls and they either early vote or they send in their mail-in ballot. The reality is, as you reported, New York is lost for Trump. So I think things are trending a little bit toward Harris. And when she turns out, let's say, Bruce Springsteen in Philadelphia, you see what I'm saying? Thousands of people vote right on the heels of that. Nothing like that happened at Madison Square Garden, but it was an ego trip. And let me say one other thing, too. You said, Musk and Hulk Hogan. Those are not the grade A celebrities in the United States. Beyonce, Bruce Springsteen, the Obamas, you can say, and some of the other people who are appearing for Harris. Those are much more the celebrities. And then she's about to go to the Ellipse on Tuesday, and she's going to give a speech, Rosie, exactly where Trump gave his incendiary speech that incited the assault on the Capitol and the attempted coup here in America. So that will, I think, make her point again that, the threat to democracy, it will remind people that, the Ellipse, oh, my goodness, we are turning the page on that kind of coup violence that we had. So I think things are trending her way.
Kamala Harris has said that what happened overnight at sort of Donald Trump's rally, that the language was divisive and demeaning. She's talking about the fact that sort of Donald Trump's warm-up acts sort of risked overshadowing Donald Trump. Do you want to tell us what happened? Because the comedian Tony Hinchcliffe, he was invited to come up and sort of warm up the crowd ahead of Donald Trump. He referred to the US territory of Puerto Rico as a floating island of garbage. I mean, that's sort of the main messaging that's coming out. Donald Trump had to sort of distance himself from that, but you're not expecting to have to distance yourself from an endorsement of yourself.
Well, this wasn't unexpected. This so-called comedian had made these kind of awful, insulting statements before, and yet Trump invited him anyway. And, of course, a lot of politics, like law, is timing. And the timing was terrible for Trump because a lot of Puerto Rican people were meeting with Harris today. So she could exploit that immediately. And we're talking about the A-list celebrities who, here in the United States, are all supporting the Democratic ticket this time around. Jennifer Lopez, J-Lo, also is performing. The Bad Bunny, who has an enormous following. And, what happens to these things is they end up in clips, they end up on social media, and the Puerto Rican vote is a huge factor. It might even put Florida back in play, which is not one of the 7 swing states, but there's a large Puerto Rican community in Pennsylvania. And so, as I say, I think things are kind of trending her way. They thought that she had plateaued, But she's also made some efforts like with Liz Cheney, and these other Republicans. And I think there were a lot of Republicans and independents who are going to stay home. And again, it's bringing forth, January 6th, the marauding of the Capitol, that Trump wouldn't cede power. And that is very, very scary. You don't have anything like that in the United Kingdom, but it's really frightening over here. And then, of course, there's former four-star General Kelly, who was the longest-serving aide in the White House, chief of staff to Trump. And he's now gone public because he's tired of getting lambasted. And he said, look, I said these things, and I said them because they were true. And Trump said these things, that he admired a lot of things that Hitler had done. Hitler did a lot of good things, too. I mean, who on earth would say such a thing? And then these attacks on the enemies, I don't think you have that in the United Kingdom either. I don't think you could run for dog catcher over there saying you were going to retaliate and take vengeance against all the people you didn't like in life.
There are so many ways we could compare the US election politics structure to the UK. I think a lot of us here kind of feeling relief that it's not the same. David, thank you so much. David Katz. What we're going to see a little bit later today, Joe Biden's going to cast his ballot. So you'll see photographs of that, I expect. 42 million Americans have already voted. Polling day, of course, 5th of November. So Wednesday next week, or Tuesday next week. And we'll have overnight coverage for you here on Times Radio.
Stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. But I'm thrilled to be back in the city I love, and thousands of proud, hard-working American patriots. You're with me. We're all together. We've always been together. And I'd like to begin by asking a very simple question. Are you better off now than you were 4 years ago? I'm here today with a message of hope for all Americans. With your vote in this election, I will end inflation. I will stop the invasion of criminals coming into our country. And I will bring back the American dream. We need the American dream to come back home. This will be America's new golden age. It's going to happen quickly, too, very quickly. Every problem facing us can be solved, but now the fate of our nation is in your hands. Next Tuesday, you have to stand up and you have to tell Kamala Harris that you've done a terrible job, that crooked Joe Biden has done a terrible job. You've destroyed our country. We're not going to take it anymore. Kamala, you're fired. Get out. Get out. You're fired. And I'm announcing a new policy today that I will support a tax credit for family caregivers who take care of a parent or a loved one. It's about time that they were recognized, right? They add so much to our country and are never spoken of, ever, 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 but they're going to be spoken of now. Thank you all very much. The United States is now an occupied country, but it will soon be an occupied country no longer. Not going to be happening. Not going to be happening. November 5th, 2024, 9 days from now, will be Liberation Day in America. It's going to be Liberation Day. On day one, I will launch the largest deportation program in American history to get the criminals out. I will rescue every city and town that has been invaded and conquered, and we will put these vicious and bloodthirsty criminals in jail. We're going to kick them the hell out of our country as fast as possible. And to expedite removals of Tren de Aragua and other savage gangs like MS-13, which is equally vicious. I will invoke the Alien Enemies Act of 1798. Think of that. Under Kamala, America is a sanctuary for criminals and for illegal aliens that are in our country illegally. I will immediately ban all sanctuary cities in the United States. Kamala's gross incompetence disqualifies her from being President of the United States of America. She is grossly incompetent. All you have to do is look at her interviews, look at what she did the other night on fake news, CNN. Just take a look. She couldn't answer a question. She's unfit for office. Everyone knows it. No one respects her. No one trusts her. No one takes her seriously. Everyone knows she is a very low IQ individual. We have the greatest military in the world. Just a lot of people don't know that. And everybody knows it, but, you know, I saw the other day a report that they issued that if we end up in a war with China, we cannot win. We're not strong enough. So I said to myself, assuming that's true, how stupid are you to put out a report like that? How stupid. Why would you put out a report? Then they'll say, oh, Trump is not truthful. No, I'm smart. You don't put out reports like that. And it's not true. We would kick their ass. It's not true. So if you want to end this disaster, you got to get out and vote. Just go out and vote. You got to get out. We have to put it away. We're close. We're so close. You know, usually the Republicans are losing in the first week in the early voting. And we did something that has not been done. I don't think, Speaker, it's been done yet, but it's been done for us. We're leading every one of the swing states, all 7 of them. So. For the past 9 years, we have been fighting against the most sinister and corrupt forces on earth. With your vote in this election, you can show them once and for all that this nation does not belong to them. This nation belongs to you. It belongs to you. And we will make America great again. Thank you, New York. God bless you. God bless you all. Thank you.
Long in distress. President of the United States! Cause you're in a new town, there's no need to be unhappy, young man. I'm not just MAGA, I'm dark, gothic MAGA. Well, the energy in this room is incredible. You're being taxed. You're being taxed. All government spending is taxation. So whether it's direct taxation or all government spending, it either becomes inflation or it's direct taxation. Your money is being wasted, and the Department of Government Efficiency is going to fix that. You guys are awesome. Honestly, this is like... Yeah. I mean, this is the kind of positive energy that America is all about. USA, USA, USA. Yes. But there's a lot of people out there who need to vote for President Trump. Okay, so this is a real battle. This is a real election battle. So you need to get friends and family to vote make sure they vote early. This is important. We're going to be putting up a scorecard, okay? An early vote scorecard, state by state, county by county. What is the scorecard? Vote early. Vote now.